All right, let's dive into something really cool today. A tool that's all about bridging that gap between a great story idea in your head and an actual playable game on the screen. We're talking about Visual Novel Maker. Let's see how it helps you make your story your game.
So you've had that dream, right? You've got these incredible characters, a world you've built from the ground up, maybe even a branching story with all these amazing twists and turns. You know it would make a fantastic game. But the big question is always, how do you actually do it?
And for so many creative people, that's where you hit a brick wall. Code. All of a sudden, that dream feels like it's on the other side of a mountain you have to climb first. It feels like you need to be a programmer before you can be a storyteller. But what if a tool was built from the ground up specifically for you, the writer, the artist?
Well, this is exactly where Visual Novel Maker comes into the picture. It's part of that well-known Maker series of engines, and this one has a very clear, very focused mission, helping you bring those stories to life.
So what is it exactly? It's a game development tool from the publisher Dejica, and it's laser-focused on one thing: making visual novels. The entire point is to empower people whose main skill is creating amazing art and telling compelling stories, not wrestling with complex programming languages.
So let's pop the hood and see what you actually get. What's inside this creator's toolkit that lets you start building your game from day one?
First off, it's made to be incredibly beginner-friendly. You get a whole bunch of free assets right out of the gate. Characters, backgrounds, even music. So you're not just staring at a terrifyingly blank screen. The whole thing is built around a super intuitive drag-and-drop and point-and-click interface, so you can build your game visually instead of getting lost in code.
But don't let beginner-friendly make you think it's not powerful. This thing is packed with pro-level features. If you do want to get your hands dirty with code, you absolutely can, with full support for scripting and extensions. You can make your game look crisp in resolutions up to 1080p. And the localization feature, it's a lifesaver. You can export all your game's text to a simple file, which makes translating it for a global audience so much easier. Then when you're ready, you can export for both Windows and macOS.
Now for what I think is one of the coolest parts. Let's talk about the heart and soul of any visual novel: the characters. There's a feature in here that is an absolute game changer for making your characters feel less like static drawings and more like living, breathing beings. That feature is called Live 2D. It's this incredible technology that lets you take your 2D character art and give it fluid, dynamic motion. So instead of just a static portrait that changes expressions, your characters can actually react, emote, and feel genuinely present. It's a huge deal for immersion. And the process itself is surprisingly straightforward. You just import your character art, use the built-in tools to create all those smooth animations, and then, this is the amazing part, you can automatically sync those movements to voice clips and text. Your characters can literally move in sync with what they're saying. That's a massive leap in making a story feel real.
Okay, so the tool is powerful. There's no doubt about that. But this brings us to that very practical, very important question every creator has to ask. What does it cost, and is it really worth it?
The full retail price for Visual Novel Maker is $60. But here's the most important piece of advice you'll hear about this software. It goes on sale all the time. And we're not talking a little 10% discount. We're talking huge sales, often around 70% off.
This quote really says it all. The tool is solid, it does what it promises, and it does it well. Functionally, it gets a big thumbs up. But, and it's a big but, the unanimous advice is to wait for one of those sales. That full price can feel a little steep, especially when you look at what else is out there.
And that's because there are very capable free alternatives, like RenPy. Now with those, you might have to do more tinkering and setup on your own, but, well, they're free. So with Visual Novel Maker, what you're really paying for is the convenience and polish of an all-in-one toolkit, where everything, including that slick Live 2D support, is integrated from the start. So how do you decide if it's the right tool for your project without spending a dime? What if you could take it for a complete test drive with absolutely no financial risk? Well, there's a really smart strategy for that. You know, the best way to figure out if a tool actually fits your creative style is to just use it. And thanks to a pretty great policy on a certain platform, you can do exactly that.
It's what we'll call the Steam trial method, and it is genius. You simply buy the software on Steam. Then, you have up to 2 hours of use to explore everything it has to offer. See if you like the workflow, test out the features, import some assets. If you love it, great. If not, you just request a full refund within that 2-hour window. It's essentially a risk-free, full-featured trial.
So there you have it, a powerful tool designed for artists and writers, a smart strategy for getting it at the right price, and a totally risk-free way to try it out for yourself. The tool is ready and waiting. The only real question left is, what story will you bring to life with it?